podcast titled The Boardroom Blueprint: Insights into Corporate Governance, Board Leadership, and Ethical Business Strategy. Episode Focus: Crisis Governance, the board's role when things go wrong. Welcome to the Boardroom Blueprint, your insight into corporate governance, board leadership, and ethical business strategy. I'm your host, Sriram, your guide to better governance. Today's episode addresses a moment that tests every board, and especially every independent director: crisis governance. What the board must do when things go wrong. Crises rarely announce themselves clearly. They build quietly, often disguised as operational issues, isolated incidents, or short-term setbacks. Strong boards recognize early signals. These signals may include repeated near misses, unexplained performance volatility, unresolved audit findings, cultural warning signs, or defensive management behavior. Independent directors are often the first to notice these patterns, precisely because they are not embedded in day-to-day operations. Early recognition is a governance responsibility. Waiting for certainty during a crisis is often waiting too long. Once a crisis emerges, one of the most common failures is role confusion. Boards that step too far into management risk chaos. Boards that retreat into oversight-only mode risk irrelevance. The distinction is clear but demanding. Management runs the response. The board governs the response. Independent directors play a stabilizing role here, ensuring that accountability remains clear, decisions are properly authorized, and crisis actions align with long-term obligations rather than short-term optics. Under pressure, information integrity becomes fragile. Data may be incomplete, delayed, or selectively framed. Good news travels faster than bad news. Optimism bias increases. Independent directors must insist on unfiltered information, including worst-case scenarios. They should test assumptions, request alternative views, and ask what is not yet known. In crises, the most dangerous phrase in the boardroom is "we don't have that information yet," because governance does not pause for uncertainty. Another critical dimension of crisis governance is communication, especially with regulators and key stakeholders. Silence creates suspicion. Over-disclosure creates legal and reputational risk. Inconsistent messaging destroys trust. The board's role is not to draft communications, but to ensure that communication principles are sound: accuracy, timeliness, consistency, and accountability. Independent directors add particular value here by providing judgment unclouded by internal defensiveness or fear of blame. Crises also reveal something deeper: organizational culture under stress. How leaders behave when pressured speaks louder than any value statement. Boards should observe closely. Are issues escalated or hidden? Are employees protected or sacrificed? Are ethics treated as constraints or inconveniences? Independent directors must name these behaviors in real time, not just in hindsight. After the crisis subsides, governance responsibilities do not end. Post-crisis accountability and learning are often where boards fail most. There may be pressure to move on, normalize operations, or declare closure, but unresolved questions about decision-making, controls, incentives, and culture will resurface if left unaddressed. Effective boards lead structured post-crisis reviews. What happened? Why early warnings were missed or ignored? How decisions were made? What governance changes are required? Independent directors are central to this process because they bring objectivity and institutional memory without personal entanglement. Crises do not define organizations. How boards respond to crises does. Strong boards accept discomfort, demand clarity, and uphold standards under pressure. Independent directors, in particular, serve as anchors of judgment when emotions run high and consequences are real. Crisis governance is not heroics. It is steadiness, discipline, and integrity when they matter most. Thank you for listening to the Boardroom Blueprint. Lead with integrity and govern with purpose.